Fitted jackets, lapel overcoats, and peak newsboy hats were common attire for them. You couldn't miss them on the streets due to their exquisite appearance. Additionally, they made sure that you wouldn't mislead any young males between the ages of 12 and 30. The Birmingham police quickly had a big problem with this gang. They quickly became the stuff of folklore for their roughness and mischief. They would target anyone who appeared weak or unhealthy, the West Midlands Police Museum curator claimed years later. Anything that is theft-prone. They acquiesce. Oh, the Peaky Blinders, what a name. The well-known TV show may have made you aware of them, but they are real. Regarding how they earned their name, there is still some debate. However, the term peaky was typically used to describe any flat cap with a P. In Birmingham, the colloquial name blinder is still in use. It was once frequently used to demonstrate that something or someone looked sharp. They may have been known as the Peaky Blinders because they used the calves to conceal their faces from onlookers. They really didn't want the public or the police to recognize them. They are now regarded as the pioneer of the modern youth movement. They laid the groundwork for later 20th century youth movements like punks with the way they dressed, their sense of style, and their vocabulary. For instance, the harsh living conditions and economic difficulties of industrial England in the late 19th century led to the creation of the Peaky Blinders and other games like it. They evolved as a result of people's extreme poverty. Young boys were forced to pickpocket in order to make money. A man with education didn't have many opportunities for a career. As a result, theft and other forms of illegal behavior became commonplace. With bell-bottom trousers, pearl buttons, overcoats, silk scarves, and steel-toe leather boots, the Peaky Blinders gained notoriety for carrying themselves with flair. They also behaved in the most absurd way conceivable. The Peaky Blinders creator actually chose to write the show for one of these tales. He recalled a little narrative his father used to share about being sent to his uncle's house along with a written letter. When he was a young child, he recalled knocking on the door and finding roughly 8 men sitting at the table, all immaculately dressed and sporting those recognizable calves. The table was covered in cash, which was the most surprising aspect of all. Some of their earliest activities were documented in a newspaper on March 18, 1990. The group was already well known at that point for its outrageousness, so they welcomed having their concerts covered by the press. By the turn of the 19th century, ages as young as 12 and as old as 30 were represented in this gang. The group quickly established informal hierarchies that gave it organization status. Kevin Mooney, a male, was arguably the Peaky Blinders' most powerful member. But that wasn't his real name. In order to escape being apprehended, Thomas Gilbert frequently altered his last name. At the height of the gang's power in real life, he headed the gang. In 1899, by stationing an Irish police constable in Birmingham, the local authorities attempted to restrain their activity. The goal was to increase the level of local law enforcement. The Peaky Blinders had previously established dependable ties with the local police, thus it was unsuccessful. Therefore, they largely kept up their actions while still bothering to declare that the police authority was reduced. However, what makes them stand out from other gangs is their unique sense of style, which contributed significantly to their success because it was efficient in many ways. On the one hand, it distinguished them from other criminals and attracted a lot of attention to them. In particular, the way they dressed exuded wealth and opulence. Others nearby thought they were out of their price range. They made sure that their wives and girlfriends who could afford pricey dresses and coats were included in this appearance, as well as the rest of their family. Contrary to other ladies, there is evidence that women were just as active in these gangs, and that they participated in larger-scale activities. Additionally, young girls would have dressed to like gang members, including long fridges, colored neckties, and colored or striped skirts. This ostentatious dress code was another way to rebel against the authorities. Police officers could quickly tell whether a man was a Peaky Blinder, but they would be helpless to stop their wrongdoings. They frequently struggled to even recall the gang members' faces. Regarding historical precision, the fictional gang and the real-life gang are very different from one another. The timing was different, to start. As opposed to the 1920s as depicted in the show, the genuine Peaky Blinders were largely active in the 1890s. This is due to the fact that they lost control to the Birmingham Lads, a rival gang, in the 1910s. Their transgressions weren't as shocking as they were portrayed in the program though. Harry Foles, a well-known member of the Peaky Blinders, was detained for merely stealing a bicycle. The first person to ever be referred to as a Peaky Blinder was Henry Lightfoot. In the later 19th century, he resided on Garrison Lane in Birmingham, England. There isn't much information available about Henry Lightfoot's life outside what the police and the media found and reported. It is known that he held jobs throughout his life as a painter, metal roller, caster, and molder. When he was about 22 years old, he started behaving terribly. Stealing racing pigeons was just the beginning. Later, he took on the hay mills, the police, and even engaged in a duel with a detective on his own. He persisted in taking care of his family until the end of his life. One of their most well-known gathering places was the Garrison, a bar that is shown in the program. They referred to it as their unofficial headquarters. However, the edifice was not as opulent in person as it appeared on television. Up until around 1910, the Peaky Blinders were in Birmingham. The Birmingham Lads, a more powerful gang, later took control of them. This one was commanded by Billy Kimber, a person of equal notoriety. Between 1910 and 1930, his influence stretched from Birmingham to the northern part of England and London. His organization had a reputation for everything, including bookmaking and bribes. Billy Kimber had the title of largest gang boss in the UK for a number of years before he passed away due to poor health. However, the narrative doesn't end there, as the Sabini clan soon took control of the gang scene. Their name derives from Charles Sabini, an 18-year-old Clerkenwell-born Italian-Englishman. Ada, whose real name was Tavia Handley, ruled London's underworld for much of the early 20th century. He was known as the king of the racehorse gangs. He was in charge of multiple clubs, and his infamous gang numbered about 100 people. Binny therefore became well known for his numerous links to the police and other authorities. The Peaky Blinders came to an end for a number of reasons, not just the rising power of rival gangs. It began with tighter law enforcement and harsher punishments for the crimes they committed. A lot of people departed the gang as a result of these changes, and fewer joined in their stead. Young people also started to have access to greater opportunities. They preferred going to school to ensure their futures because they had greater access to education. They also acquired discipline. Many people had a choice to that gang spirit thanks to boxing clubs. These individuals' sense of belonging was one of the factors that led them to join a gang in the first place. Thus, by the end of the 1920s, what was left of the Peaky Blinders had moved to the countryside and had mostly vanished from the Sabini clan's awareness. It's all done for today. Hey, if the video satisfied your interest, please like it and share it with your friends. If you're still curious, just click on the subscribe button and enable the notification bell to view more and stay on the Adventures InsideWorld page.